What's good, Diablo players, demon hunters, Diablo fans? Season 25, Shadow of Impale. A lot of people have been asking me if it's good, if it's viable. It's my favorite build. One of my favorite Diablo builds of all time. For the demon hunter. Is it good? Yes. Is it viable? Yes. Very. I see a lot of people playing it wrong though now, I'm going to be honest. And I haven't, as usual, looked at like Diablo fans for builds or whatever. It's just stuff I put together, man. This is my build, so if you like it, give me the thumbs up button at least, you know, drop a like on the video. I'm gonna go into the gameplay first for you live. I'm missing out on keystones. What do I do about this, chat? What do I do about it? Yes, I do a rift. I'll show you the playstyle in the rift. It's a longer video, no ads, man. You gotta watch some content, you know? Whatever. Let's do it.
Still waiting.
P16. Season's going well so far. Very viable as a beginning of the season. I guess I'll just spend a little bit talking about stuff we already probably know before I get into the build. Some people don't. I don't know. So how do you get to this point? How do you get to P16? Well, you're gonna get the level 70. Basically, your season journey doesn't start until you get to level 70. Try to look for like a power level or something. I don't know. It's up to you. As you're leveling up, okay, if you're doing it solo, I played solo. Every 5 levels, you're gonna have options to craft at the blacksmith. Complete the challenge rift before you even really do anything, obviously. The challenge rift will give you bounty materials that are really easy to do. The witch doctor is the challenge this week. Or maybe it was last week, I don't know. That was a really fun build. You might like the witch doctor. It's a very good build now. The spirit barrage set is sweet. I remember there wasn't really a spirit barrage set before. That was once upon a time thing, so I don't want to get off track here. That's a Yang's recurve that just dropped. And do the challenge rift, you'll have blood shards. Keep the blood shards until you're level 70. They can help you out a lot. If you need green items and you're struggling to find green items and that's what your thing is, gamble for pants using your blood shards because you'll have a higher probability of finding greens by rolling on either shoulders, sometimes depending on the class, or pants as upgrades. Use the Death's Breath and your gold to upgrade your blacksmith and your things, obviously all that. The jeweler. That should be able to get you through chapter 1 quite easily. Do some bounties if you're stuck for gearing and you got a power level and didn't get any leeching for gear or whatever. Sometimes a lot of the times people aren't willing to do that. I guess more so these days because they have other stuff they want to do. Harder content. But I don't see why not just running gem upgrades if that's what people are doing, letting people leech. So yeah, usually I'll help for that, but if that's too complicated and it kind of sounds, it just means like you gotta get gear on your own after 70, somebody levels you up for you. Late in the season, we're about a month into season 25, so I died right there. So, Shadow of Impale, it's not really a hardcore build anymore. It used to be really popular, and especially when Reaper of Souls came out, so Act 5. Shadow of Impale set was brand new, it was really meta and popular. It's no longer meta. Is it viable though? Still, yes, it's very strong. You'll see this in a second here. I'm gonna do a greater rift. So, you get the Hadrian's Gift, you're level 70, this is all awesome. Now you have Chapter 1 or Chapter 2 complete. Do not use a dagger until you get to at least like two, honestly, side items. So Chapter 2 completed. Vault, no longer using Vault. Right, so things that are different on this Shadow of Impale compared to other builds before. I'm gonna silence my webcam here so you can see my gear a bit better. I'm gonna try to spend less time talking. Sorry for the lengthy video, but no ads, yo. Love you guys. Heart. Okay, so check it out. Chapter 2. Complete some bounties if you need some gear. You'll have bounty materials and stuff like that. These things are very easy to do. Level 60, hard or higher. Basically, by the time you complete Chapter 2, you'll have 2 set items for Shadow of Impale, and you'll just rip through at least to Torment 1, so you don't have to worry too much. Find the Kanai's Cube, upgrade the Jewelers using your challenge rift stuff. That'll be done. Reach level 70. Yeah, Rannoch and Skeleton King should be no problem for you. Crafting, replacing, and transmog, those are all super easy. So now that you have that, and you're ready to roll, you craft your dagger, because you'll get the 2 of Impale. Complete a Nephilim Rift, do some bounties. This might be a little more challenging for you, but you'll probably be able to handle it. I should hope so. With vengeance and stuff like that, the extra difficulty increase for the bosses. Make sure you're using Shadow Power, Gloom, very important. So now you're at Torment 1, you have to solo a GR20 now, and you have to complete the Skeleton. Or the Key Warden, sorry. To, on Torment 4 now to upgrade and to finish the build. And get all of your Hadrig's gifts. So that could be a little more challenging. Torment 4 is a little scary. I wouldn't worry about it too much because at that point you're going to already have your, what is it, 2 4-piece bonus? 4-piece bonus Shadow of Power. Shadow Power lasts forever, which is huge. Upgrade a Carly's Point, craft that when you get to level 70. Basically 50% chance using the upgrade to get there. Get your Carly's Point, that'll help out with your Impale massively. And use oh yeah, Reaper Wraps. This is the item now that I see a lot of people, so this is the build. Basically, people are making a lot of mistakes now, in my opinion, because the regeneration now and things like that have kind of changed, and you're not casting Impale for free as much anymore with this build and the playstyle that they have. So just know that you're going to be consuming more resource. What does that mean? That means if you're consuming more resource, you're weaker because this build revolves around a closed Curious, which is reducing your damage when you're above 90% threshold for Impale casts. So if you're taking more damage, you're just weaker and you can get one-shot pretty easily. That's why it's not really good for hardcore anymore, and that was the problem. There's things that I'm doing to mitigate that and to last Aquila's Curious as much as possible. So the timing, when you're casting, I just want to go over the timing. You basically have every 4 seconds like a free Impale cast, and you'll always be maximum, basically maximum on Aquila's Curious. That was a little faster than, I think, than 4 seconds, but you kind of get the gist of it. So, basically, one Impale for free like that, you'll shred anything. Most Shadow of Impale players will know that, so that's pretty devastating. Right, so, cooldown reduction. The set revolves around now Ring of Royal Grandeur in the cube. Put that in the cube. Where, if your Convention of Elements isn't as good, you're looking for certain stats though now. Because we're using Captain's Crimson, that's what it revolves around, reducing our cooldown of skills and reducing our cost, our resource cost. Now, Captain Crimson set 3 of 3, right? So we're using it on the pants. We're not using Cane Shadows anymore. We're using it on the boots. We're no longer using Shadow Mantle boots. So, set 3 of 3. Damage dealt increased by % of your cooldown reduction. Damage taken is reduced by percentage, by your percentage of cost reduction. So you're getting a bonus of damage dealt increase and damage reduction by these two stats here: cooldown of skills and reduced resource cost. So this is what we're doing. So we get 20 on these, and 20 and 20 on these pants, and then we're gonna need it. Mine's not completely ideal. My gear is not, and my stats and the fixes, the stats on all the gear is not perfectly ideal yet. But whose gear would be perfect? Let's be honest. Okay, but what? I'll just give you the gist. So what are you looking for? So Carly's Point now, the best Carly's Point now, in my opinion, which was always sort of my opinion when one of my favorites, it's just extra good now because instead of focusing on kind of skimping out and missing the 100% uptime on Vengeance, you'll actually have 100% uptime on Vengeance now really easily, guys. So all of your skills will be like through the roof, so don't have to worry. You're not worried about like, oh, making the choice between, do I want damage on my gear as stats to have or 100% uptime on Vengeance. Obviously Vengeance is your strongest Demon Hunter ability, and you'll be doing a lot of damage if that's 100% uptime. So now it like actually correlates that 1-to-1, where it's like literally your damage is going through the roof now with the amount of cooldown you have. So you want it on basically every gear you can get. Of course it would be on all your jewelry if that was ideal. Cooldown and cost would be on your gloves. That would be ideal. Cooldown would be on your shoulders, and cooldown and cost would be on your main hand and offhand. Hopefully you follow along with that. If not, just check out my Carly's Point, which is probably my best. So far on this build, even though the Impale affix is kind of missing 34% Impale damage, we have rolled cooldown and cost on the Carly's Point. Very important to have, because that's 8% extra damage increase and 10% extra damage reduction just from having this Carly's Point. You can get 10 and 10 as well on the Holy Point Shot. Now I don't have that. You can get 8 on the ring, reduced cooldown. I would go reduced cooldown on the jewelry, okay? Because you would get more damage. 8 on the jewelry, 8 on the compass, 8 on the travelers. And then I would go cooldown and cost on the gloves. Cooldown, it would be cooldown, cost, and I would go crit. And then I would augment that for the dexterity bonus. Or you could go cooldown, cost, crit damage. Actually, yeah, cooldown, cost, crit damage, dexterity. The reason, okay, why that would be the best. Cooldown, cost, crit damage, dexterity, and augmented. for this, if you're paying attention and you care to optimize it that much, I'm not going to have a Diablo fans link. That's why I'm taking a little bit extra time explaining this. And my gear can kind of change, so don't really look at my profile, just look at this video. If you do max it out that way, and the reason why that would be the best is because if this is permanent, and it could be, they could keep these items in the game, then we're gonna, so look at this. The Remnant of Pain cold skills by 21% more damage. Very good to have, okay? Obviously, over penetration and Impale is the best in the game. Technically, because you're casting cold, and it goes hand in hand with your Call of the Week passive, where damage is 20% against slowed or chilled enemies. You don't have to worry too much if you're using a Bane of Trap, though, because you're going to get an AoE that slows enemies in a radius around you. 15 yards. So anything in front of you, which is basically what you're killing on Impale, would be hit with 20% anyway, so it doesn't really matter what rune you have, but for the longer distance, beyond 15 yards, over penetration would be good. There's a reason though why I'm using impact and the skills I'll get to in a second. So this Remnant of Pain, yeah, so check it out. Your crit chance is reduced by 15%. Attacks against incapacitated enemies are automatically critical hits. You don't really have to worry about crit chance as much anymore because you're going to be automatically hitting critical hits, right? So you have basically max critical hit chance. I think max is like 65% or something like that. I don't know. So on your gear, you just crit damage is through the roof, right? So you're getting damage, Remnant of Pain, plus 21% cold damage, very beneficial, but doesn't really matter. Because that's a damage additive, and the way the calculation works, 21% really only equates, I think, beyond using conventional elements rotation to being only like, it's like half that, it's like 7% or something, like, or whatever. And then you get a 140, which is good because that's better than the Royal. Damage increases damage against elites by 20%. Beautiful to have. Thorns, not really needed. Life per hit, dope. And then we move passively through enemies. And when you move through enemies, you knock them back and stun them for 2 seconds. This is massive. Because now we don't need strong arm bracers especially. And I wouldn't recommend using strong arm bracers anyways, because with Reaper's Wraps, you're restoring, health globes will restore 20% of your primary resource. So now when you max out your globes, collection range is a secondary affix, increasing globe health pickup on your secondary stats. You're going to be vacuuming up all the health globes, which keeps you alive, and you're going to be getting primary resource, which keeps you alive because you'll be at maximum hatred for longer, and your closed curious will be up for longer too. So it's just insane. It's just insane to have. It's needed. Anyways, so this build put together, very similar. Traveler's Pledge, Compass Rose, Convention of Elements. I'm using a Gogok. I'm using a Bane of Trap. They're both rank 50. I'm missing a third gem. It would be a Stricken. We talked about the stats. We talked about the gear. And the only thing left is the helmet gem now, which is the Sliver of Terror, sorry. We reduce cooldowns again. We reduce resource cost again. Reduce damage from elite melee attacks, 18%. Gold EXP, not really needed. Devastating Ring of Fire, not really needed. Important. Your cooldowns are increased by 25%. For every skill on cooldown, you take 12.5% reduced damage and deal 12.5% increased damage. Now, okay. That is important to have. That's the reason why we're not using on the skills. I'll go over them quickly before I hit this. Like GR90, with 2 gems at rank 50, no augments, is because every skill now on cooldown, we're dealing more damage and we're taking less damage. So now you could vault around, but I would use acrobatics now as the rune if you do end up if you need the extra mobility. With this build, you don't need the extra mobility because you're only casting. You're not casting vault for free anymore, and you're not using Cane of Shadows. So yeah, like you plus with the other gem or runes on vault, you wouldn't have a cooldown. So that's the only. So get this. Yeah, the rotation. You shadow power when you enter into the rift. Buff your damage twice with Wolf Companion and Vengeance. Blade of Armor anything that's around you. Walk into them and then do that. And as you're going along the way, when you do dip below so much hatred, you would cast Preparation and Invigoration. Now, again, look at how many skills are on cooldown, right? So we have 4 skills now on cooldown. Shadow Power you can't do anything about. It's always going to be active. It's never going to be on cooldown. And Impale you can't do anything about either because you're always going to be able to cast it at maximum hatred, excuse me. So those are the reasoning behind that. Volt no longer needed. Wolf Companion. Shadow Power Gloom. Fan of Knives, Bladed Armor increases toughness. Dark Heart Vengeance increases our toughness. It's a lightning rune though. We'll be dealing lightning damage out the Narnar. So you could use Ricochet. Ricochet is really good. You could use Overpenetration. Overpenetration is really good. You could use Impact. Impact is really good. I personally prefer Ricochet because, like I said, I don't think that the Overpenetration is needed also as much anymore. Especially if you use a Bane of Trap. Using Ambush. I'm using Blood Vengeance. Maximum Hatred increased by 25%. Gain 30% Hatred and 3% Discipline when you're healed by Health Globe. So now you're getting even more Hatred and even more resource on top of your Reaper's Wraps. You're doubling up basically on that effect with Blood Vengeance passive, so it's amazing to have. You should use it. That's what I use. This is how to play the Shadow of Impale Season 25. It's amazing. You should try it out. I'm gonna show you what it's like now. I'll put also like a little timestamp for you to check out at the beginning of the video. If you made it this far though, kudos to you. I appreciate you. Love you lots. I'm gonna complete a GR90.
Done.
Prove yourself worthy of your birthright. Not ready yet.
Oh, one thing I forgot to talk about. Yeah, so we do have items on the Enchantress, which is helping us. Obviously, Oculus Ring, you should always have on your follower. It's like extremely meta for solo pushes.
You want more?
It's basically on every build. You're missing out on 85% damage if you're not using it on your follower. Most people are using it though. I'm using Nemesis on my follower too. That's the reason why we're hitting these. We'll get Nemesis right here. Oh yeah, so the belt too is the Court of Sherma. So sometimes our Enchantress is gonna hit enemies, and she's gonna put down that blue circle that blinds enemies. It basically acts like having a kind of a Z-Monk next to you where they can hit blinding flash, and it'll incapacitate enemies. It'll stun them. It's very good to have. It's insane. And you'll double proc on your Bane of Powerful, anything that's in that range. So that's a 5.6 trillion crit right there. So, you know, this build now is stronger. That's for sure. We're hitting now numbers into the like 7 trillions without augment. So when someone asks me, when my friends ask me, is Impale sucks, you know, it's not really viable, I look at them, I'm like, what? Dude, Impale's never been stronger, in my opinion, but so making a build video, putting it together, because yeah, again, like I said, I see a lot of Impale players, especially like I did inspect a couple Impale players that I was playing with in Pugs, and they were using the other craftable items. I don't remember what the other craftable items are. Anguish or something. I don't really use them. I also don't play Monk this season, so I know it's a part of the Monk meta. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, you'll just double proc basically on the enemies with your Bane of Trap. Will hit 2 times. Anything that's blinded like that.
Need more time.
And yeah, GR90 just like literally like one-tapping everything, right? Not 5th rank 50 gems. Go Gawk and Trap. Like missing out on this trickin'. So if you have any modifications, you know, you want to make to the build and you want to put it in the comments below, that's cool. I'm always keeping track. I appreciate though if you made it this far in the video, like I said, and you
That was just a taste.
if you drop a like on the video, that lets me know like to make more content like this, I guess. I love Shadow of Impale, so I think I have like 12 hours now on the season. And I started like 2 or 3 days ago, so I'm almost done the Guardian objectives, seasonal Guardian stuff. So if I had a Stricken, that Rift Guardian would have only been hit like once or twice. And yeah, trust me, there's a huge difference. Huge, massive difference, guys. I can't stress this enough. Between, okay, these are the important things now. Between using Crimsons and not this set, and not having the stats on your gear, and not, so it's Captain Crimson's trimmings set, 3 of 3, the 3 of 3 set. It's huge difference. It's massive between using that set now and not, between having cooldown reduction on your gear and reduced resource cost on your gear now or not. So RC, RDC, and then RCR or something like that. And also between having these gems in your gear, it's the Remnant of Pain and the Sliver of Terror. Alright guys, that's it. I'm gonna wrap it up. That's it. I could talk about this forever, and I could keep streaming about this forever, but that's all I got for you. I hope that wasn't like too painfully long. It definitely was, but if you enjoyed Diablo, hey, maybe you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys. Love you lots. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay smiling. And check out my Thrill update in a couple days too. I made another build for Thrill. It's not a multi-shot, but I don't want to give you too much of a glimpse into that. Keep posted. See you later.